That's the question. Like, is PlayStation 1 retro still, or what is, how do you
Yeah,
draw the line there?
that was the hardest part originally on our joke, because everybody else has 100 different opinions on what retro should be. We finally came to a conclusion after talking about it for I don't even know how long. We were like, okay, any system pre 2000 is good enough to be considered retro, which means I think the Dreamcast makes the cut, and that's the latest one.
Man, I can dig that.
Yeah.
That's cool. So you also, your biggest event that you've ever had, I guess, is coming up called Retrothon. So what is that going to be like? What can we expect from that?
Retrothon is something that I've wanted to do for years, ever since basically seeing classic games done quick. But Retrothon is the celebration, just the pure celebration of retro speedrunning in all of its forms. What we're going to have is 7 days, 24 hours of retro speedrunning from anything from the PlayStation 1, because we have like Final Fantasy 7 in there. Amiga is in there. We got the Virtual Boy in there. There's tons of great NES classics, SNES classics, period, through the entire schedule. So it has all the classics. The marathon it's everything that I'd love to see in like any like the classic games done quicks, where they had basically all retro games.
Mm-hmm.
But I just like to celebrate the fact that retro speedrunning as a whole, and that's what this is. And a big shout out to all the massive helps from Shema, who made the website, Enemy TV, and Anthole, who did tons of work on the schedule and everything else. It's been my favorite work on RGL by a long shot. And I think as a team, we're going to bring together quite possibly my favorite, and could be one of the best marathons on all of Twitch.
Yeah, awesome, man. Okay, looking forward to that for sure. So I want to know what kind of is this your brainchild, your idea here to make this, really put this together, the real significant marathon?
Yeah, it was my idea originally. From I can't even remember how long ago at this point. I was rolling with the idea to do it on my channel. I'm like, this is going to be way too much work. So instead I brought it to a team, and then now we're going to present it as a team. It's going to be RGL's marathon, which I'm perfectly happy with. It's the amount of like restreaming duty that's going to be needed, the amount of like artwork, and just getting everything. Somebody getting all the people to coordinated to be on time. And all that's going to take a ton of work, and RGL is perfect for that. We've been doing it now for 3 years, and we're getting it down to pretty much to where it's becoming the usual, which is good, because then we can just roll with it, and I just honestly I cannot wait for the end of April to start. So I'm excited.
Yep, and yeah, it's definitely it's going to be high for sure. And I see like the 200 games or whatever. You got like a lot of submissions, more than that, right? 300 submissions or something crazy like that, right?
Yeah, we had almost 300 submissions.
Wow. So how did you then, as tournament organizer, Toad22484, how did you what were your requirements? What kind of led to things not being selected? Because you did have to make some cuts there, sadly. You couldn't accept everything, right? So how did you make your decisions? Obviously, you can't go through each one, but how did you what was your kind of guidelines?
It was myself, stared at the schedule, and I talked it out with Enemy and Ant, and we really had to draw the line on either if a game was way too short, whether their availability, like a big thing in this Retrothon was availability. So if you couldn't do like anything on nights or anything on the weekdays, we kind of had our hands tied. Like, okay, we can only fit so much on the 3 weekend days that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, if it was too long, unfortunately, we can only take so many RPGs and stuff like that before it kind of just overwhelms everything else, because they're just too long.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, we had to make some cuts there.
Okay. What about, how about, I'm always interested in this. So when you have two people, obviously, I'm sure many people submitted the same game, like common games and stuff. Right. How did you make those decisions? Did you go with the fastest time, the biggest name? How did you kind of choose those decisions?
If two people submit the same thing, first we'd be like, okay, do they want to race? And we'd ask them if they want to race.
Mm-hmm.
And like, And if they, if they can't, or if they couldn't be on the same day or something like that, we win with fastest time. Again, this is like a specific speedrunning event, so I'd say fastest time is going to win out. Doesn't necessarily have to be record, but fastest time in the same category is going to win out.
Okay, so that makes sense. Easy way to decide things for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So now that you had to put together a schedule, do you have a new respect for the GDQ schedule makers? Because they have to worry about a lot of stuff as well. So did it change your feeling at all?
Yes, I do have quite a bit of respect. I can't imagine going through, like, I went through almost 300 submissions, and they go through like 5,000 submissions or something like crazy like that. So yeah, I have much respect for people who have to put up with actually getting the tournament to happen, or getting the marathon to actually happen. There's a lot of behind the scene work that usually goes unnoticed. Mm-hmm. So a huge shout out to those that do GDQ and any other kind of marathon like that. It is a lot of work.
Did you think about like as in like prime time, or did you think about that kind of side of things too? Did you try to put in like a hype game at a certain time or anything?
Prime time a little bit, yes. We definitely wanted to put like the best games, the most popular ones, I should say, not necessarily the best, but more popular ones at the peak hours, so people can come by and enjoy, because that's what people are going to want to see. We also try to get as many blocks as we could, of like an NES block here, or a TurboGrafx 16 block here, or like a Castlevania block, so on. Because I feel people are going to want to tune in for specific game series as well. Mm-hmm. So having them in blocks is also important. And after those two things, it just came down to availability, because we had to fill in 8 hours of night every night.
yeah.
That wasn't the easiest thing to do.
Yeah. So how about as a tournament organizer, right? So how much do you put in how well they can do the commentating side of things? Because obviously that is a important task. I think it's just as important as the playing in a marathon. So did you put any weight into that, or was just, okay, they can do it fast, that's good?
Oh yeah, I definitely put a lot into commentary. I think everyone that has a prime spot either has a commentator on the ready, or I already know that they can do good commentary because I've seen their stream and I've seen them and such. So commentary is definitely important in a marathon like this, and we definitely stuck with. We've asked many people, like, okay, you better have a commentator on hand if you're not ready to commentate. You get your submission video in for this. It doesn't have to be for this specifically, but if you have a submission video where you can commentate while you're playing, we need to see that so we can judge how well you could commentate on the fly and such. It's extremely important.
So you said when there was like two runners, let's draw two people here, Metro McFly and Bad Bricks. I know they're good friends, so I can do this. Let's say they both submit Contra 1, right? Mm-hmm. But for some reason, I'm not saying this is true, you think Bad Bricks is better on the mic, but he has a slower time. Metro McFly, worse on the mic, better time. You would have chose Metro McFly in this case. But if you're going for most entertainment, right? Bad Breaks might have been a better choice. So is there any thinking of maybe doing it that way? Choosing runs that way?
In this situation, I would probably be like, okay, let's get McFly in and then ask Bad Breaks if he wants to commentate. Or we could have a race for Contra and get somebody from the Contra community I know who can be a good commentator, and will commentate for this race.
That's good. That's a good point, yeah. That's a good point. So yeah, Metro McFly last week was on. He said that me and you kind of think pretty similarly about competition and speedrunning. Mm-hmm. So I want to ask about that. I guess how to start this conversation, I guess, would be, what do you think competition and speedrunning could look like? What is something that you think that speedrunning is not doing that it could be doing on the competitive side of things?
It's weird because there's like a ton of like rando competition right now. Because the LTTP has like skyrocketed on the machine that is speed gaming. But as far as a competition overall, I think if we're going to go that route, I think we should do like more tournaments overall just for the specific vanilla games. I think we should and I think they are actually starting to do that. And I think for competition, I think we could honestly have beginners tournaments as well. Because a lot of people are very scared of learning, or they don't think they can learn a game. They think it's too much of an undertaking and stuff, and they can't do it on their own and stuff like that. So I think having some kind of beginners tournament to where they can get like a week or something. This is actually interesting because the Cove and his group, Mega Man group, have done this recently, and I think it's a great idea. They're a group of people. The winner picks a new game. They all learn it, and then they have a race at the end of the week. I think that's a great way to breed more runners and future competition for bigger events like say a Mega Man 1 tournament or a Mega Man 2 tournament or something like that.
So how about I take that to the next step. I'm trying to put together an event